Alright, it's 12 o'clock, so I'm supposed to start this stream. I don't see anyone on it yet, but for all of the viewers that'll be watching it later, what I'm going to be doing today is, first I'm just setting up my YouTube page here on the screen in case there are comments. And okay, so I'm all set up there. So what I'll be doing today is taking a set of PDFs for a house that I got from an architect because I'm an interior designer, so I receive these sets from architects and then I turn them into my model. I just happen to have been on this page. But I will open, so what I start by doing is I have my own drawing set template, which is called the Swisterski drawing set template. And I open that up and I have this thingy here, this little like template block or cube that I call it, and I have all my northeast west, and it just helps me orient what's where, and all my sections are based on that. So I start with that, and knowing that my north is here. So I'm going to keep that in for a second just as a reference. In the meantime, I'm going to pull in, you'll watch me go through the journey here because right now I want to import a PDF, but I don't think that SketchUp really lets you import PDFs unless you have some sort of plugin. So I'm going to find it first. Oh, you know, I have already turned them into JPEGs. So what I've done is take the PDFs, turn them into JPEGs, and then imported them. So let's try one of these out. I just need to figure out which one's the ground floor because that's what I'll be modeling. So I'll start with this one. I feel like this is an old one, but I guess it doesn't really matter for the purpose of this. So I'm going to plop it in here. I'm going to plop it in any which way right now, any scale. And then I'm going to figure out which side is north. So I know that this wall is north. And I kept this cube in just as a reference to make sure that when I do put this in, the north side is facing north, so it just by coincidence is already facing north. So I'm going to take my reference cube out, and I'll be writing that was on it. And I'm going to put this down to the ground zero. And the first thing I do when I start is I explode, because this came in as a JPEG and you can't actually do anything with it. So I explode it. Then I turn it into a group, and then when you've done that, you can go in and it can be messed with, and the first thing I would mess with is the scale. So I'm going to find out a nice long dimension. So this is the longest one in the house, and this says 57'9". So I'm going to use the tape measure. I'm going to go from as close as I can to what feels like the center of these two lines intersecting. I'm going to go all the way to the end of this dimension, do the same thing, and then now I've completely forgotten what that dimension is, so I'm going to go back 57'9". I can't seem to keep numbers in my head. 57'9". So I'm going to click it there and then type in 57'9". And it's going to say, do you want to resize the active group or component? I'm going to say yes. And so what that has done is put this all into the correct scale. And you have to be in the group to do this. So if I click out of the group and did that, it wouldn't have worked. You have to be inside of it. So I'm going to just double check a few things now. So this, when I measure it with my tape measure, it should be roughly 12'6". And yes, that is roughly what it is. 12'6", yeah, 12'5" and 15/16". I would consider that pretty successful. And because this is not like line work or anything, this is just an image, I'm not really going to be using any of these points to snap to. I'm just going to be using them as dimension reference, because it's easier to do it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Take note that when I start doing this, we should always be modeling in the untagged, so just make sure that your little pencil is in the corner there, and that means that you're modeling in untagged. So how I like to model is doing the entire envelope first, and then punching the windows later. So a pretty quick way of doing it would be to create a full rectangle. It can also come down to how good the architect's drawings are and how clear they are. In this case, I'm going to do a full rectangle around here. And then I'm going to double check what these dimensions are supposed to be before I really set that as the rectangle. So maybe because I know that this line is supposed to be 57'9", I'm going to grab from here, say 57'9", and then move that line to there. And then, if I just want to look at the background clearly, I go into X-ray mode. I have it on a shortcut Shift X. So I'm just going to look at that, and that looks like it lines up with there. So what I will do next is try to find the thickness of these walls so I can offset some of this. So see that this wall's 5 inches, it looks like. And it's not incredibly clear on these drawings what the thickness of the walls is. But I do have a dimension like this one here that hopefully can help me a little bit. This says 5'11", this says 1 foot, so from the outside here to here should be 6'11", so I'm going to go with that. Okay, so now we know that that's there, and hopefully I can figure out where this wall sits. Which again, not incredibly clear. You get to put yourself in the shoes of the builder now, trying to look at these drawings and wondering how on earth you're supposed to build from this. This right here says a foot. So that looks like slightly different construction than everywhere else, but let's measure off of this and see if this is a foot. That looks like it's more like 8 inches, so let's see if we can find anything to confirm that the walls might actually be 8 inches. Not so much. Also, these walls don't seem to really line up here. Let's see if we can find an exterior dimension. Okay, I'm just going to go... That's got to be 8, and if this is 5... Eight and 5 gives us 13. So would that make sense? Yeah, that would. That seems about right. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is take this and not the simplest house in the world. Okay, just for the sake of this video, I'm going to assume that there was some dimension that told me how far away this garage was. So let's say it was, I don't know, 20 feet or something. And so that's where that lands. And we know exactly where this lands, so I'm going to pretend for now that we know where that dimension goes. And that one, and that one, and that one. It's possible that I should have picked a simpler house for this exercise, but here we are. Do the same thing with that. And I just want to note that it's really important if you're actually doing this for yourself or for a client that you should make sure you're finding out all these accurate dimensions. I just don't want to bore you to death by trying to figure them out now. This is more about technique and how to do this quickly. So let's say we have our shell. We've made sure that all these are absolutely accurate to the architect's plans. We know that the exterior walls are 13 inches. What we could do is then, actually no, before we do that, a good thing to do is to copy this floor face, or this face, before we offset the walls, because we can then use this as the floor instead of going like picking a bunch of things. So just copy that so it's in your clipboard. Then offset this, and then I know that on this floor my walls are 10 feet. I'm still in X-ray mode here, so we'll get out of that. My walls are 10 feet, so I'm going to group all of that, and I have all my tags here, so I'm going to put that on the walls element. And what I'm going to do next is put it in X-ray mode, and this is how I punch out all the walls. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to paste in place that floor. And so I'm assuming, again, I would go into the drawings and do this accurately, but I'm going to assume that the floor is about 12 inches deep. Okay, so I will group that as well, and now this goes on to the floor. Then ultimately, once we're done this ground floor, we will group the whole thing and put it on the location ground group, so that it's separate from the basement group and the second floor group. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the window openings now. So I'll go back into X-ray mode. I will temporarily hide this floor. And now I'm mentally calculating whether I should use the dimensions on this drawing or just pretend like we know what they are. Let's say that this drawing stated that this was 7 foot 2 1/4. So I'm going to type in 7 foot 2 1/4. And then the window width, let's say that the drawing said that it was 6 foot wide. And then because I've looked at the elevations on the architect's plans, I know that this starts at 42 inches and that it's at a height of 48. And so sometimes people like to set up the elevations as like PDFs here, but I find that I just have them on a separate screen and I just look at them for reference, because it ends up being a lot cleaner. You don't want too many objects floating around here, it gets really confusing. So what I do then is this tends to be the cleanest way that I found and that I learned through SketchUp school. So you just punch that window and then get rid of those guides. You can keep those guides if you feel like more windows are going to be at that exact height. But if not, then just keep going with that. So I will go through a bunch of these with hypothetical dimensions. So it's an 8 foot door. And then because I've got them going into the group, I am punching this right out. And then I'm going to go through and do that with all the others. Let's say I've gone through and done that with all of them. I'm going to go and look at the style of window that was selected for this project. And maybe I don't even, maybe there's nothing selected. But we need to make windows, so I'll show you how I go about making windows. Actually, this is how I do it. I just draw over one of the lines so that a face gets created. Then I cut that face out. Then I get out of the wall group so that I'm just not in any group right now. And then I paste that back into place. And then I place it directly in the middle of that window opening. Actually, no, I'm going about this the wrong way. Okay, so first we need the frame. So I paste and place that face so we have something to go from. So I'm going to say the window frame is 2 inches wide. And this is where I grab that face because I'll use this for the glass later. So I'm going to cut that, and the frame, let's say it's going to be 4 inches wide. So now I make a group of that frame, and I'm actually going to make a double group. And I'm going to hide and isolate so I can work on just this alone. So I'm grouping this because I don't like when my window frames stick to my window glass. So I have that window glass still in my clipboard, so I'm going to copy it into place. And now I center it with that, and I like to make my windows. I'm going to get X-ray mode. I like to make them 1/2 inch thick. So I've just made it 1/4 inch on that side and 1/4 inch on this side, just to give a total, at least that's what it should give me, a total of 1/2 inch glass. And then I'll make a group. Well, I guess for this I can just make it clear. I end up putting everything into V-Ray materials later. But for now, and I'll make some things distinct. So let's say I'll make the windows with the gray just so it's clear what they are. So that's the dark gray. And these are two, I haven't made this group yet, so I'm going to make, what did I? Okay. This is not a group yet, so I'm going to make that a group. And so now, this is the window component, and we have it in 2 separate parts. So when you select, you have your wall group, I have your window group, and I'm going to put that under the window tag, which is right there. And then I can go around, well, first I'm going to center actually. So I go in and out of X-ray mode very often. You'll notice that, and maybe it's confusing as a viewer, but it's extremely helpful as a SketchUp user. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll make a couple of other openings. Well, actually I'll use this opening here. It's supposed to be sliding doors, but I'll use this as an example. I have to actually plug in my tablet right now because I'm using it as a second screen. It's low on battery. Okay, we're back. Alright, so if you can just reuse all your windows, so you just only ever need to make one. I'm going to reuse it over here, and I'm copying from this corner as a reference, so it's there now. And I find the absolute best way to stretch and pull things is with Curic's Stretch. So I believe it's this icon here, or it's one of these. Where's Curic? This is Curic stuff, but I just have it as a shortcut. That's why I'm looking at it a little confused right now. This is also Curic stuff. Well, in any case, Curic Extend, or Curic Stretch. That's what I'm looking. Wait. Curic or select, very curious. Sure, I totally forgot what it looks like. Maybe I just don't have the toolbar here. Anyways, I do have it as a shortcut, so when I'm on do Curic stretch, what happens is, so I'll start that over. You have to select the component itself, and when you selected just one component and then activate the Curic stretch, whatever you select, it doesn't matter if you select this entire area, it's only going to select the vertexes in the component that you selected. So right now I can grab all of that, and then the top vertex here, lock that blue axis, and then I'm going to the very corner here, and that'll stretch all of that up here, and it's still activated, so I'm going to select all the vertexes there, and I'm going to stretch them over to this corner. And what I should really have done, because this was a sliding door, put it in the middle roughly, and then over by 2 inches, that's the thickness of the door. So now I can put it there, move it forward a bit. The sliding door, so it wouldn't actually be 4 inches thick, but let's just say for this purpose it's that thick. So then you go around to all your window openings and do that exact same thing. Obviously, if I went that wrong here a little bit, let's say that overlaps that much. And so yeah, you just punch out all of your windows with that method. Don't start by following the plans, like with the walls, don't follow the perimeter and do it bit by bit. Just do one nice clean group without any windows, and go through, punch in, and then only create one window and use that to manipulate the rest. If you want, and there's going to be a bunch of the same ones created as a component, and then make sure to make them unique before you keep going, or don't make them components and save yourself the trouble. Depends how much repetition there is in your plans. So if I've done all that, then I'd be comfortable with grouping this whole thing together and then putting it on the ground floor location. So here I have ground floor. So I've based all my tags on the Mike Brightman's book and his method, the Condox method, which is all of your elements are like all the actual physical objects in your drawing are called elements, and they're on their respective tags, and then everything in a location, like specifically the floors or the stories, are on location tags. So in this case we're putting it on the ground. And if you are doing a set that has, you need a set that has demo, existing, and new, then they're under condition tags. In this case, this is new, so I don't actually really need the condition tags, so I won't be using them here. So now I can go and import the second floor. Actually, before I do that, I'll fill this in a little more, because ultimately the second floor is going to follow this exact same pattern. The only difference is, in fact, I'll pretend that this is the second floor, so it would just get copied up. And the only difference is that this would go on the second floor tag. And so what I would do if I was, this template that I have, the SketchUp template, is set up just to have one floor, because often I work on projects that just have that, so I don't want to overcomplicate the template. But since I am now into the second floor, what I'll do is I'll add a scene called, that was working ground, and now I'll call this working second. And so in working second, you can choose to have the ground on or off. It doesn't really get in the way, but it just depends. There's some sort of complicated scenarios that you might be in that you might want to turn that off. One of them being if you're showing dashed lines or hidden lines from things below. But I won't get into that right now. But anyways, you can turn your ground on, you can turn your ground off. I will, for the sake of this, I will turn the ground off. And so I have to go into my tags panel here. And turn the ground off. I'm also going to hide this in this particular view, and then I'll update that scene. And so every time I go to the scene now, no matter where I am, I will only see the second floor. And then if I go to the ground floor, I'll have to set this one up too, because right now the ground floor is also showing the second floor. So then you turn that one off and update it. And so now I go back and forth. Whenever I'm working on the ground floor, I go to working ground. Whenever I'm working on the second floor, I go to the working second. And you can do that for all floors. And some people have the method where they all their tags say for example, like stone first floor, stone second floor, stone third floor. You don't really need to do that if you're using the system. You just have one set of tags for every element. And you group all of them together. Like, as you recall, when I put the walls on a tag, I put them on the walls tag, and there's no location or specifying which floor it's on. It's just the walls, and the windows are just on the window tag, and everything. There's just one tag for each element type, and it's just based on how they're grouped. To specify where they're located. So I can go into the ground floor and start working on a few more things. Like for example, I will show you how I would do the internal walls. So for this one, again I'd be using exact dimensions, the ones that are found on the drawing. And that looks more like 6.5 inch wall. And in case you didn't know, you can just keep on typing, recorrecting yourself when you're doing a line or offset, and SketchUp will keep updating it. So let's say I have done that wall, and I screwed it up, and then I group it. I like to group all my internal walls separately from my external. I find that easier for at least an interior design workflow, because sometimes I'm working on things from the inside and I find it hard to see, so I turn off the exterior walls. So the case here is the same. What I would do is, instead of going around and locating the door, I just make the wall and then I locate the door afterward. And the door is, it's 4 feet from, let's see, 30 inches from here, and I know the door is 28 inches wide, and I know that it goes 8 feet up, and type in 8 inches, it's 8 feet, and so sometimes that happens, the guides go in the wrong place, so I'm going to bring them forward, and then I try to make the guides in the group of the wall, but if you don't, you can either do two things: copy it and paste it in place into that group, or you can just go into X-ray mode and you'll be able to see it through. So there's that, and I have Control Delete as a shortcut to delete all my guides, because when you're doing this method you get guides all over the place. And you want to be able to clean them up very easily. So when I'm doing basic planning, at least this is just for me, I have a little guide and template that I use for components. So I would go into for this kitchen here, and just kind of putting it out and getting something to start with. I would go into my own collections, and I have the millwork here, and I plop this thing into the drawing set. And so this is like a basic cabinet, upper and lower. And so I can just grab this whole thing and have hidden the rest of my background, but I can go in, place that where I need to. And then I can start planning it out, I guess. There are some dynamic components that can help you with this, but I don't really have any that are, my projects are usually unique enough that I don't really have, I don't have a live component or a dynamic component that will fit all of the criteria that I need. And I just use these cabinets as a base model, and they're all components, so if I change the face of one cabinet, it'll change them on all of them. So in this instance, these are all, I need to make these unique. So actually the first thing that I would do is I would use Pure Stretch, because really I just want to make sure that my gables go to where I need them to go. So I'll select, I should have taken them out, they're still part of this group. So I'll select all of this, cut it, and paste it into there as just as their own thing. And everything in here right now is unique components. So I'm going to make it unique. And then, so what I would do is I would select all of this, then the Curic Stretch, and then I'll stretch. Sometimes I'll go into X-ray mode just to see if I've selected the right vertexes, because you can't see what's going on in the background. And so then I'll pull all of this over to what looks like pretty much the edge of the kitchen. I'll just go somewhere around here. And so you can see what that's done to my doors is it's made them huge because I did stretch them as well. So I'm just going to delete. There's two sets of them, so I'm just going to use the one set. And what I do here is I will take a line all the way across, and I'll divide, and then I'll figure out what the right amount of segments is based on the length it's showing me. So 2 for 2 for upper cabinets is not bad. I'd say 1 for 10 is probably a bit better. So I'm gonna let it go there, and then I only really need one of these to know what the width of my upper should be. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use Curic Stretch again. And I'll go to the edge there. And so now I know that if I copy this over, say 6x, 6 times over, that will pretty much fit perfectly within there. So I've just created all those uppers really quickly. And if I wanted to change, say, the rail size or rail style or something, I really just need to change it in one of these. Let's say I could actually do it a bit quicker than that. I could select all of those edges. And do a joint push pull. And let's say I just want the I'll show us doing. Okay, let's do the old-fashioned way. Let's say I want the shaker to actually be a really wide shaker. Okay. So now we have all the cabinets looking the way we want. They're all spaced properly. And then I can do the exact same thing with the lowers. So I take the dimension from right there. Take it from there to there, and then I will divide this line and just try to find out what an appropriate size might be. So 4 feet is way too much. 2'7", that's an okay size for our drawers. So I'm going to stick with that. So that's 5 segments. And I'll eliminate one of these. I'm going to triple click to delete the rest. And so I'm going to select all of these now, do the curve stretch, and lock it on the green axis, and there we go. So now I'll copy this over. I know that I want this copied over. There's supposed to be 5 of them, so I'll copy it over 4 times because there's already one. So then they're all perfectly fitted into the space. So that's a pretty quick way of just getting a kitchen down right away. There's supposed to be some kitchen here, so let's pretend that this is the style of the kitchen. So it's like a galley kitchen with an island that's a little bit bigger. So I do also have all my receptacles here as well. So if I'm doing an island, I'll just grab this, I'll cut it out of here, and I'll paste it right over here. And so again, I will select the things that I want. First I'm going to put 36 inches here, actually I'll do 40 to have some good circulation space before the island. So got those 2 components selected, and I will stretch it over to that point. And then this is a deeper island, so these are okay because I haven't selected them, so even if they fall into where I'm selecting, nothing will happen to them. But I do want to make sure I didn't accidentally select that corner. It looks like it didn't. So I'll stretch this all over to... Oh, it looks like it didn't select that one gable, but that's okay. I'll stretch that separately to match. Stretch it too far. And there we go. And I like to have, this seems like a really basic shape, but I do have the corners mitered, and if you're doing this over and over, it can get really tedious starting this from scratch every single time. So it's a lot easier just having this mitered corner shape ready to go. Same thing goes for these. You don't want to be building these all the time over and over. And a lot of people don't show the insides of their cabinets, but I kind of just have these drawers ready to go, so that when a section is cut through, it just looks like a drawer rather than needing to cut out the shape and layout or do anything there. It just looks the way I want the inside of the cabinet to look. So that covers that. And then for the furniture, I do like to put some symbols for the furniture in so that I have them in the plan. I'm just going to temporarily hide this so we don't confuse my symbols with the architect's. So same with the kitchen components, I also have a collection of what I call 2D, 3D furniture. Because depending on your expert levelness of SketchUp, you know that if you put just a flat face on another face, like for example a symbol, this face on top of the floor face, it's kind of a gamble as to which one's actually going to show up, because the computer doesn't really know, or the graphics card doesn't really know which one you want to show. And so you could add a little bit of a thickness to them, but I find it's better for space planning purposes, just to put in the real stuff, generally the real dimensions. So I've created a bunch of components that when they're in plan view, they're not like overly organic shapes, they look like they're a symbol, but in fact they are 3D. So that's how I ended up doing my furniture layouts. So I'll take that and then these sofas and dining table place that roughly in the center here. Center on the sliding door. Get rid of that guide. And I know that there's an internal wall here, so I want to get that hidden object back. And I can either show hidden objects and unhide it, or I could have just gone back to my working ground where it was not hidden in the first place. So this house has a wall going from here to there. Let's screw that up, and there's a doorway roughly right here. So I know that my furniture should go. The architect has suggested that this is the layout, but it doesn't really work anymore because the family decided to do a millwork piece right here. And the TV will actually be, I'm going to group this so it's like a sticky tiny thing, and just roughly lay out. Oh, see, this is what happens when you don't group things right away, so I want to group this wall so that it doesn't stick to any furniture or any millwork pieces that I put into here. And so I've got this blocked in, so I know where to start putting my furniture. And I don't want to be influenced by what the architect did there, so I'm going to turn it off and just figure out what I think are the right dimensions. So there will be a fireplace going in the center here. Just going to block that in for now, group it, and then I know there will be a TV here, roughly. And so my furniture layout needs to be so that you can enjoy the fireplace as well as the TV. So I ended up, because I've already designed this whole house, so I kind of know what I did. So what I ended up doing was putting the sofa right here-ish, and then another sofa right here. The sizes were a little different. Things felt better when I did it before. It might be because some of the actual dimensions are a little different. And then with these blocks, I'm not afraid to just go ahead and scale them. Something funny is going on here. Okay, these are components, so I need to make them unique. And this one is still in some kind of a group, so it's not letting me scale, so I need to make it its own thing, and now I can scale it down. So let's just say it's a smaller sofa. And I don't have these 2D, 3D blocks for coffee tables because ultimately a coffee table is really just an extruded rectangle, so that one's easy enough, and I find they're often like fairly unique shapes too. So I just do that instead. So there, now in a very short space of time I have brushed the entire kitchen, some furniture layouts and some windows in, and then I'll show you what would happen if I wanted to take this all to layout. So I'm going to save as. I should have done that a while ago because this is my template. So I'm just going to save it on my desktop for now as YouTube Live sample. So I would normally send this to layout. Well, that's how I'll start doing it. I'll send it to layout and then I'll open it up in my template, in my layout template. But the thing is, I often upgrade my layout template so often that what I will do instead of opening things up in my template, if I know I've updated enough, is I will open up the last set of drawings that I've done and just take everything out of it other than just one page, and I'll just use that instead. But I also have a scrapbook, and so if I need anything, that's actually one of the most current places to go. So here I sent it to layout, and I used one of my templates, and you'll often just get something like this. You have no idea what you're really looking at. So what I didn't do before I sent it to layout was take a look at what's really going on in these scenes, because that's what's being reflected in layout. So let's say, for example, I wanted to do a plan of this kitchen. I would make sure that my scene shows just what I want to show. So I'm going to put it where I want, update it, and the very important thing to do is to remember that you can't just update it, you have to save it. You can't just save it, you have to update it, you have to do both. And then when you go into layout, make sure to update that all reference because it's been saved since. It may or may not change what you're seeing in this viewport because we don't know what scene it's showing, so you have to right click on it and go to scenes and then select plan. And so now it's showing some part of the plan. We don't know at what scale, so first we'll start out by, actually the first thing I'll do is I'm going to, that's one of the things that I've changed about my template is that I just do the viewports in raster, and especially for just when you're dealing in layout, you want to have it in raster because it's the fastest viewport type. So I'm going to see how big this would have to be if I wanted to show the whole kitchen. So that's pretty big. It's obviously too big for the page, especially if I want to show this thing. So I'm going to go to the scales up here, and I'll say that was it's a half inch now. Let's see what 3/8 looks like. That seems like a decent size, but I want to have a lot of space for notes and dimensions, so I'm going to make it a 1/4 inch. And so I'll just tighten it up there. Actually, I'll show you what I would really do if this was a proper drawing set. I would leave this viewport big, and then I would go in there, and I would draw around, right now the object snap is off, so I need to turn it on so that I can catch these points. So I would go in and I would select just the boundaries of the room, and so why you're seeing this white thing filling is because the fill is turned on right now, and so you have to just turn that off. And so I'd go in, I would make sure that everything that I wanted to see in this viewport and only what I wanted to see was selected. So I'll go a bit past that and go up to there. So now I have this shape, and I want to only see what's in this, so I create a clipping mask. And now that's showing. And so you'll notice that now there's no outline showing. That's because the stroke is not turned on. So I'll turn on the stroke, and then I'll choose my point style, or my point thickness. So I'm going to choose 2 points, because I like to have the outlines really pretty thick. And I could control the color if I wanted, but I like this being a thick black line. So now I'm going to position this wherever I want. And the other thing with my template is that I have some things set up, like I have furniture showing as, that's pixelated when we zoom in, but it doesn't print out quite like that. I have the furniture set as a lighter layer, so, or the furniture tag as a lighter tag. So if you go in here, you'll see that furniture symbols, the way I have it set here is that it's like, it's not black, it's like a dark to medium gray, and it's at 0.2. And so it will show up later when I print it. But the thing that can really trip people up is that if you start messing around with what's on and what's off here, because you can turn tags on and off here, like say for example I will turn off that furniture symbol, so that made my table go away. But this will override what's happening in your scene. So say for example you set this, you like it, you save, close, next time you open it, you're working in this plan, and you're like, well, this is the plan scene, but then when I'm in the plan scene here, why don't I see a table? The reason that is because you have override that in your layout tags panel. So just be mindful of that when you feel like what you're seeing in your SketchUp and layout, viewports and scenes is not the same. So I will turn that furniture symbol back on. And so yeah, now I would normally go about dimensioning. I have, in my template I have the dimensional leader that I like to use right here, so just in case I give a little sample dropper to make sure that when I start doing my dimensions, it's the right dimension. The other thing to double check is that either you're working with auto scale and then whatever you do should be correct. But the reason I don't do that is because sometimes I have quite a few layout objects, like for example this clipping mask is a layout object, so when it's dimensioning, it's actually just dimensioning 1 to 1, so it's saying this is 5 inches and a quarter, which is obviously not correct for an entire kitchen. So I don't do auto scale, I usually do dimension. I turn auto scale off and I pick the dimension that I'm working in, which is a 1/4 inch, and just to make sure that everything I dimension is in fact the thing it's supposed to be. And you'll also find you use a clipping mask, you might not be able to get the intersection points, so see right here it's not really catching where this millwork unit hits the wall. So I use the red ones. So the red one means it's the end point of the line. The blue means that it's not really catching anything. The red means that it's catching an edge. So that's what I use for dimensioning. If it's not catching a green intersection point, like here, this is an intersection between these 2 points. But here, because I've done this clipping mask, it doesn't really let me do that. But that's why I just go to these points here. And then I can go ahead and finish that up. You did see a green one pop up there because that's the corner of the actual layout line, not necessarily the SketchUp one. And for this room, because this is an exterior wall, this is an inside wall, but this line is actually just cutting across an open space. It should have a break line here. So I have break lines in my my scrapbook. And I know there's different kinds of scrapbooks you can download or you can make your own. I've made my own, and mine's kind of a combination of things that I've collected, things that I made myself. And it's not particularly organized, but I know where everything is and what I need it for. So this break line is a little too big for this, so I'm just going to minimize it, then I'll rotate it. And this break line is composed of 2 objects. It's a group, so the first object is the break line itself, and the other one is this white space. That's where you can see it. This white space above it, and I created it that way to make sure that whoops, I need to get out of that group in order to start moving around. To make sure that everything on the other side of this break line is made white. So in this case I actually want to, I'm going to edit my clipping mask. And then that means I'm editing just the mask, which makes it a lot quicker It's a lot quicker to edit your clipping mask than to edit your viewport, especially if you have a big model. So just keep that in mind. So I've just stretched the clipping mask, and then when I exit outside of that, it's edited. And so I'm going to put my brake line somewhere closer to there, because I just wanted a bit more space. My brake line is not super sophisticated, so I do have to go in there and just, if I want to make a really customized shape, I have to edit the shape itself. Maybe there's a better brake line out there. I don't know, but this is the one I use. I don't use them a ton, so it's not too big of a deal. Okay, so then we have a pretty clean thing going on there. And then I would end up putting some leaves in there. So really what I would do is sample this one just to make sure that I've got the right styles and font sizes and all that. So then I'll just go in and start naming things. So this I will say is the island. And when it comes out like this, it's because you need to justify it to the left. And I wish it was smarter and it kind of just could sense that if you're going from one side to the other, it starts doing it once you've corrected the first one. Stone top, let's say, for example. I'm gonna work unit. Dining table. And that's pretty much that. Let's say, for example, one thing that I do sometimes is if I do want to show more than this in this drawing set, but I want to emphasize that this is the room that I want to be showing, I'll show you another way to do that. So you can copy and paste this viewport. This is a method of stacking. So one thing you want to make sure is that you have the layers, that you're prepared with the layers that you need. So this one, you'll see a little blue square there next to the layer that you're working with. So that one's on. So this viewport is on that layer. And if I want to, so that's in the back. But if I wanted to put something over top of that or behind that, I have to make another layer called, I'll make this viewport background. And then I need to make sure that that is behind the vector viewport. Okay, so this one would be on top, and I'm going to move this to the new layer we just created, which is viewport background. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to release the clipping mask. And instead, because we want to see more of this, I can either create a new clipping mask or I can just manipulate this. It depends how slow it's being for you. This is a really small model and it's in raster, so it's all pretty quick. And then, so you can see now that when I move it, it tucks behind this viewport. So let's do that. Let's tuck it behind, and I will use this corner as the reference point. So put your little gizmo to the corner there, and then it'll find that corner. So now they're perfectly lined up. So now it doesn't look like anything. You wouldn't be able to tell that that anything's really going on here, that there's two stacked. And the way that you can do, a lot of this is sections, so you can't really do that much about making them lighter. What I like to do is create another layer called white mask. And then I will make an object that's white. Move to white mask, so it's already on there. and then just change the opacity of this. I think I have to be in the fill, so click on the fill, and then change the opacity, and now also take off the stroke, and now take off the stroke off that, and now you have a faded out background behind the keyboard. Alright, that's all for today, folks. I'm getting off the live.
Thanks, how are you doing?